Is everyone else just super jazzed for Advent? Just me? Advent, I've said this before, I'll say it every year till I'm dead. Advent is my favorite time of the year. It is my favorite liturgical season in the church. Like, I know Easter's supposed to be the right answer, or like Lent or something, but like, no, Advent is my favorite time in the church's year. And predictably, that stems from the fact that, like, as a kid, obviously, when Advent rolled around, all of a sudden the Advent wreath would come out and trees would go up, and all of a sudden, as a kid, you're just like, ooh, Christmas is coming. And it's just great. Because there's just so much joy and anticipation, and that's great. It really is. As a little kid, that's what's going on. Or even as a college kid, or even as, like, if you're a teacher, you're just thinking of Christmas break. You're just like, it's almost here. It's almost here. These kids are going to be out of my life. So it's just, again, whatever it is, there's just a lot of what's built around this season is just a lot of anticipation and joy, and that's a beautiful thing. The tricky thing, though, Advent's a little tricky. The tricky thing, though, is Advent is not just about getting ready for Christmas. And I know that whenever I say this, all my siblings, don't worry, my siblings beat me down. They're just like, Mike, you're such a Scrooge. And that's true, I kind of am, but also I'm kind of right. So it's okay. Like, Advent isn't just the time when we get ready for Christmas. That's part of it. But that's not all that there is. Advent's, again, not just this simple little countdown to Christmas or like bake your cookies, put up your tree sort of a time. It's not even just the time to watch 41 new Hallmark movies. That's right, there are 41 new ones. That's 2 a day. You got a lot of work to do. 41 new movies. That's not what Advent's about. That's not the only thing there. Advent is not even just the time to get ready to celebrate Jesus' birthday. Right, Advent, what is Advent? It should evoke this sense of hope and joy. That's right. But there's a little bit more to Advent. Right? In Advent, we prepare not only for celebrating Jesus' first coming, we celebrate and we prepare for his second coming. Right? I don't know if you paid attention to the gospel today. It wasn't about Joseph and Mary going to Bethlehem to have baby Jesus. It was about, the world's coming to an end. Oh, and Jesus is going to come to judge us. Oh, and like, I'm going to die. Right? Advent, it also calls to mind our ultimate hope. That ultimate hope that we should all have of eternal life, of heavenly glory. Right? Advent, as Christians, as Catholics, it should be this time of expectation and a rekindling of that expectation and hope that we have for the Lord's coming and for us being with him forever. Right, so much so that, like, actually on Christmas Day, Pope Francis is going to inaugurate for the entire church a Jubilee year of hope. Why? To rekindle this ultimate desire that each and every one of us should have. Also because, I don't know if you know this, we stink at waiting. Just more than ever. I don't know what happened. There's a couple of things that I'll talk about, but for some reason or another, we're just really bad at waiting now, at hoping, at expecting anything. One of my favorite comedians, he just summed this up real well. That's where I get all of my theological insights, is from comedians. But he was just talking about Amazon Prime. And he's just like, right, Amazon Prime isn't even fast enough for us anymore. It used to be 2-day delivery, and we were just like, woo. But he's just like, now 2-day delivery is like, come on, that is too slow. And so then they're like, hey, same-day delivery. And he's like, that's un-American. 2-hour delivery. He's just like, won't cut it. We need Prime Now. We should push the button, and then all of a sudden it should be gently placed into our hands so we can use it now. Right, Prime Now is what we need. Why? Because we're just so bad at waiting. It's just not what we do anymore. We're not good at it. Even, and I'm going to say this very gently, even we're bad at waiting for Christmas. Don't raise your hand, but who started listening to Christmas music 3 weeks ago? Okay, all right. We're just bad at it. Even the thing that we're like, oh, Advent, we're getting ready for Christmas. We're like, it's Christmas already. We're just like, here it is. Here we go. That's what we do. But then on top of that, we're just bad for waiting for anything. But on top of that, we don't even know, especially as Christians and as Catholics, we don't even know what it is that we're waiting for anymore. We don't really know what we're hoping for. Remember that our ultimate hope should be for eternal life, for heaven, for all of that. But even that's gotten really clouded. I know that you guys think that I'm a nerd, but over Thanksgiving, I was talking to my sister-in-law, and she is a nerd. And she's writing her PhD dissertation right now on transmitting the faith. How do you hand down the faith from one generation to the next? And in her research, in her studies, all that, She's come across the most terrifying fact that I've heard in the past couple of months, which is that when it comes to parents handing on the faith to their children, only 15% of them are concerned about handing on the faith because of heaven. In other words, most people want to hand on the faith to their kids because they want their kids to be good kids. They want their kids to behave. But only 15% of parents are like, no, I want my kids to follow Jesus because I want them to go to heaven. Very few parents, statistically, say that that's what their goal is, or that's why the faith is important at all, which blew my mind. I'm just like, wait a second. I can teach you to be a nice person, and you never have to believe in Jesus. Like, Jesus didn't come to teach you to be nice. I say that all the time. No, there's something more that Jesus promised. But even that, right, we've started to lose sight of. And instead, we've fallen into this temptation to say, well, I know when what I hope for has to show up, and I know what I need to show up. We've made ourselves the arbitrators of it all, of when things have to happen and what it's going to be. Again, just use Christmas as an example. I'm not trying to harp on you or be a total Scrooge, but just think, Christmas happens when? Whenever I say it starts, which was 3 weeks ago. It already started. What is Christmas? Well, it's whatever I want it to be. 41 new Hallmark movies. That's my Christmas, Father. That's what I'm going to do. Right? This is what we do. We all of a sudden say when things have to show up and what they're going to be. And all of a sudden, hope is sabotaged. So hope gets sabotaged in two distinct ways. Two ways that this happens as I've gone through my extensive thinking about this. Two ways that I've seen this happen is that first, our hope is sabotaged just by the constant distractions that we place in our lives. All of those distractions, those things that we give to ourselves one after another on the weekends, in our free time, whatever it may be, just to keep ourselves distracted. And the funny thing is, like, we know they're not going to help even before we do these things, but we're just like, I'm going to do it anyway. Or whatever that distraction may be, whatever it may be. Again, even good things. It's not like I'm saying we all go start doing horrible, horrible things. Sometimes we're just distracting ourselves from life itself, and we get sucked into all these smaller things that just steal our attention, and we don't hope for anything. The second big thing is that second thing that sabotages our hope is then we even stop hoping, we even stop expecting great things in our life. Again, we decide what it is that we need, and then we just kind of stop there. We're just like, well, I just need a good spouse, I need good kids to be healthy, I need a house, I need a car, I need a good job. If I have this, if I have that, then I'm good to go. If I have 41 new Hallmark movies, I'm good. Right? That's what we say. We're just like, well, if I have these things, I'm good to go. And all of a sudden we stop desiring and hoping for great things, the greatest of things in life. We just kind of set our own list. Again, when we put all this together, what happens is that we begin to slip into this weird place where we don't truly hope at all. Not really. And life just kind of becomes this blah. And yeah, we're going to have a good time for this day, for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and we'll be able to post some good pictures on Facebook, and everyone will know we had at least one good time. But like we stop hoping ultimately for those greatest of things. Again, 15% of people actually hope for heaven, apparently. What in the world is going on? One story that we're going to hear on Christmas, it's a very famous story, you know it well, right? Mary and Joseph are going around looking for a place to stay, and very famously we hear that line, and they had to go to live in the cave because there was no room for them in the inn. Great. Now, if you told that innkeeper, hey, guess what? It's God at your door. Literally, God is here. You want him to stay? Like, that innkeeper would have said, yeah, I'm kicking 8 people out. They can stay there. Great. And it's not that the innkeeper didn't want God to be in his life. Why couldn't the innkeeper take God into his life? It's because he was too full of other stuff. That's what the church fathers point out to us. This is a metaphor for us as well. That sometimes it's not that we hate God or we don't want Jesus, we don't want what he promises to us. Sometimes it's as simple as the fact that we're just too full of everything else. Sometimes full of good things, but we just have no room left in our lives for him. Again, we've set up the list and we've checked all the boxes off of, this is what I need and I've got it all. I'm good to go. And so all of a sudden our ultimate hope, our true hope, we find that it wanes and that sometimes it's just gone altogether. So during this Advent season, what I want to propose is, well, what if we could be full of hope once again? That's what I want to talk about all Advent is, what if we could rekindle and renew this hope that God gives to us? What if we could be full of hope, people full of hope yet again? That'd be pretty awesome. But there's 2 things, though, that we'd want to do, and this is where we'd have to start. Again, think about that inn in Bethlehem. There's no room for it. We have to make room. And so there's two simple things that I would propose that we do for Advent. It's 24 days. It's easy. This is the perfect calendar ever. Like we start in December 1st and we just go straight to Christmas. 24 whole days. We can do it. But the two things that I would suggest are silence and fasting. And I'll tell you why. And it goes back to those two things that are sabotaging our hope, all those constant distractions, and the fact that we've already told ourselves what we need to be fulfilled, to have our hope fulfilled. So the first thing to do is silence, is to place in our lives a much more intentional silence. Again, we spend a lot of our time drowning in the noise and the distractions just of life. Netflix, YouTube, work, sports, everything, just you name it. There's a whole long list. And oftentimes the first thing that goes in our life is just silence. Simple silence. Just time also in prayer, but ultimately just time in silence where we're not being distracted to death by everything that's going on. And so I just encourage you to place in your life a concrete time of silence throughout Advent. And I'll give you 4 options, but today you have to decide on one. So you can't walk out of the building without picking one. Option 1 is the cool kids option, which is to give an hour of silence each day. And if you just had a stroke about that, okay, there's level 2. Level 2 is 30 minutes of silence a day. Level 3 is just 15 minutes of silence a day. Just pick one. The 4th level, this is the cheater option, but hey, something's better than nothing. You could do an hour of silence a week. So like pick a day during the week. You could even come to the church and pray for an hour, but just an hour of silence a week. So just pick one. How could I live more intentionally this time of silence throughout Advent to grow in hope? An hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour a week, whatever it is. But just pick one and stick with it. What's also very helpful, you know what a sticky note is? Okay. Get a sticky, like if we write things down, it makes a commitment actually concrete. So like write it down somewhere. Even if you throw this piece of paper away immediately, once you write it down though, you remember, well, I wrote that down, not something else. Pick something and try to stick to it. So that's silence. Silence to help us to grow in hope. The second thing then is fasting. And in particular, I know what you just thought, oh, okay, I won't eat Christmas cookies till Christmas. No, I want us to fast from technology. There are 3 people in here probably that don't watch TV and don't know what a smartphone is, and that's awesome. You can fast from Christmas cookies. For the rest of us, what we need to fast from is technology, in particular our smartphones and our smart TVs. Why? Because nowadays, the number one thing in your life that is distracting you and that is satisfying you, it's called dopamine, is your technology, it is your smartphone. Guilty, right? This is the number one thing that begins to rob us of this time of expectancy, of waiting, of hoping. And so that's what I encourage you to do. I'm going to save my technology rant for a different day. I've got one. But again, pick 4 different levels to choose from. The first option would be just cut out all unnecessary technology from your life this Advent. I know you have to use a computer for work and stuff, and that's fine, obviously. But like, you know the times when you're using it and you don't need to be using it. And just cut that all out. Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, whatever it is. Some of you just had an aneurysm. That's okay. The second level is we'll just pick 2 of them. Say like, I'm not going to use YouTube or, I don't know, Amazon Prime Video this Advent. Great. If that was also too challenging and you almost had a heart attack, just pick one. Just pick one thing where you're going to say, I'm going to give up this, technologically speaking, during these next 24 days. I found a fun one. Did you know that the Chiefs played on Friday? They played last Friday. So technically speaking, the Chiefs only have 3 more games before Christmas, and then they play on Christmas Day. So like you could give up 3 Chiefs games and then have a great celebration and watch the Chiefs on Christmas Day. Pray about it, all right? But you only have 20 more minutes to pray about it. Or the last one is, and again, this is the cheater version, but again, something's better than nothing. But it would be to give up your technology, give up your phone for just a certain time each day. Right? Maybe you're just like, hey, maybe from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., I just won't use my phone or I won't watch TV or something. From after 9 o'clock, instead of sitting in my bed and scrolling through stuff for 4 hours, I'll just say at 9 o'clock, we'll just be done with it for the day. Whatever, just pick a time though, where you give up that technology. So again, those are the 2 things, silence and fasting, in particular fasting from technology. Why? Because these are the things, most practically speaking, that are robbing us of our ability to grow in hope. If we want to be full of hope, we can't just say, man, I hope God makes me full of hope one day. We also have to begin to make room for him. We have to begin to make room in our lives for God to do that. And that takes something practical on our part if we want that to happen. Again, this is my desire during this Advent season is that we can become a people truly full of hope. Here in this time, right, when so many of us just kind of fall into the blah of life, in December of all months where we're the most busy of every single month in the year, this time when so many people, and maybe even you, are just growing in anxiety about the future, well, what if we could be renewed in hope, in true Christian hope? Hope for what it is that God truly promises to us. Because when it comes down to it, that's what Advent is about. It's this time for us to grow once again in this ultimate hope that God gives to each and every one of us.